NorseTok is toxic, and it's all our fault. But we can fix it and make it better. Heathens love to argue. It's our favorite pastime. And algorithms pick up on what gets clicks and views, which is often negativity and toxicity. The human mind is not built for happiness, it's built for survival. So a lot of the times we will end up clicking on and liking things and making videos on the things that set off that part of our brain that's like, danger, danger, young Will. I don't even know when you're going to get that reference. And if you do that too much and you're a creator, you can end up becoming the Jerry Springer of heathenry. If we spend all of our time doing call-outs, petty clapbacks, and talking about what's bad and not uplifting, supporting, and encouraging, you will end up with an audience, a following, inner circle, or just being in spaces if you're more of a lurker, with that toxic element that's more about shouting down people, giving them the knife hand, and the audience hooping and hollering because they want to see you destroy someone with facts and logic. It's much harder to build a following or a space that is based on inclusivity, uplifting each other, encouraging each other, and being humble and authentic. When I first created the subreddit r/Norse paganism, which I still mod, I kind of understood this because I'd been in heathenry for a long time. I think I'd been heathen for maybe 14 years or something like that at that point. I had encountered a lot of heathens that were lore lawyers and more about shaming and telling you how it is than actually helping out. And think about newbie heathens that are coming into a space like that. They see that. Are they really going to stay? Who are the people that you are going to attract when you have that mentality? When you are inviting that audience? Whether you're a lurker and you don't really create content, you just engage, you're just trying to learn, or you're somebody that is just kind of minorly in discussions and just kind of, maybe has a TikTok as a social profile, or you're somebody that's actively trying to be a teacher and creating content that teaches, you have to keep this in mind. Who do you want your audience to be? Do you want it to be inviting for newbie heathens or not? Do you want trolls in your audience who like to do troll shit? Or do you want people that are going to be authentic and actually discuss and want to learn? Because there's a big difference between discussion and debate. Discussion is good faith. Discussion is, I want to learn, I want to teach, I want you to teach me something. One thing that I often say a lot is I would rather be proven wrong than stay wrong. And I'm afraid that to a certain degree, I have done this. Last year especially, I got really heavy into a lot of call-out videos, a lot of dissections of arguments. And it's not that I don't think those things were necessary, it's that the focus on them was too much. And if I look back, there might be a few things where I could have handled it in a more positive way. I'd have to really look at it, but I do stand by the things that I have made. It's just that I could have facilitated a more positive environment, one that uplifts, supports, and encourages. We are here talking about ideas. Neither one of us is trying to one-up each other and win the argument. Whereas with debate, that's all it is. You are trying to win an argument. You are moving the chess pieces of that's a fallacy, cite this source, oh, that source isn't good because XYZ, and that has its place. But you have to assess when it's necessary to do a call out, to dissect somebody's argument, and when it's not really the hill you want to die on. Is this a big problem, a medium problem, or a little problem? Big problem, active harm. Somebody that is actively teaching harmful things. White supremacy is a big one, right? If somebody's an asshole, they are causing active harm. Sometimes, as we have seen in the past, that can be very shaded because of algorithms, and people with human decency understand that being actively racist is a bad thing. So they like to couch their language, they like to use dog whistles, they like to not show things or say it with their whole chest. That is active harm, that should be called out, that should be dissected. Medium things might be something like somebody engaging in pop culture, Thoraboo, Ragnarboo, whatever you want to call it, where they may not understand something. I am more likely to approach somebody in a positive way saying, hey, you might not want to use the chin line because here are the reasons. Maybe send them to the 2 videos I did that talk about why we shouldn't use the chin line and what Norse makeup actually looks like, that kind of thing. a little bit more of a softer approach. If they push back with their, I'm not going to listen to indigenous voices, or in my case, the Norse pagans that are relaying that information, then you might see somebody that just has not done the deconstruction that they should have, and they are engaging in harmful things. Another thing can be the G slur for the Romani people. This isn't something that's necessarily the Norse pagan community, but I've seen it a little bit within pagan and adjacent circles, that G slur used for Romani people. It does not mean wanderer, it does not mean traveler. I especially see a lot of white women use this because they think it means traveler. It does not. It is a pejorative for the Romani people. And if you bring that to them and they push back, that's a red flag, right? They haven't done that deconstruction. They may not actively be white supremacists. They are still engaging within that hegemonic overculture that has taught them that white comfort is more important than marginalized people telling you not to do something. So that can be kind of a medium problem, maybe even going toward a heavier problem. Another medium problem might be Snorri's Christian influence. Is it a hill that I would die on necessarily? No. Is there evidence that there's some Christian influence? Sure. It's something to be discussed. It's not something that is so large that it is going to cause harm, but it is something worth good faith discussion. A small problem might be the eth. Is it a big deal if somebody says Njord instead of Njorð? No. Is it a hill I'm going to die on? No. I might give you a small correction. If you push back, it's not a big deal. The anglicized version of the words turned into a D a lot. Not a big deal. We need to facilitate call-in culture. We need to uplift, support, and encourage other heathens, newbie heathens coming in. Is somebody sharing their Dollar Tree altar that they made? Maybe it doesn't look great, but it's awesome that it's their first one. And we, especially the old hats within the community, should give them an attaboy. One altar doesn't need to be pretty to do its thing. The thing behind me is my altar. These are little god statues. I call it my Walter. It's not luxurious or glorious, but it gets the job done. And heathens helping heathens. I've done a video on this. I think I first saw it on Midgard Musing's channel. I'm not sure if he came up with it or not, but it's a really great way to facilitate positivity within the community. Sharing each other's content, uplifting a post, giving somebody positive encouragement, helping somebody out with something they might be working on. A lot of heathens on TikTok seem to be doing charitable work. That's awesome. Let's help them out. Let's share it. If you can't actively donate, obviously you can like, share, and tell that algorithm that you want to see more positive content. And we have to create inclusive, supportive content. Whether we understand it or not, we are building a culture. Certain things like beards, the shaved size of your head, stuff like that are cultural signifiers that we have adopted that aren't necessarily something that is historical. Vikings never wore their hair like this. And part of this is because of my career in the tactical field. But that doesn't mean that this and this aren't part of the modern culture that we're building. And it's up to us, especially those of us who are old hats, the newbies that are engaging in too much Viking talk, too much Peyton Parrish style cosplay. It's up to us to come in and be like, hey, that's not quite historical. Here's how things were actually done. Or maybe you shouldn't put an IKEA rug on your shoulders. And that can be more of a little problem, worth a bit of a nudge, not necessarily a hill to die on. But it's up to us to shape the culture going forward. If you understand where it's going, then you can look at it and you can build on that and push it in a more positive direction. So with that, be better tomorrow than you were yesterday. We are the sum of our actions, not our words.